Hi, I'm Matthew Schoeneman, and today I'd like to tell you a little bit about what I like to do in my free time. You may already know a few things that I like from watching my Icebreaker Speech, but I like a few more things than just cars, sports, and history. The number one thing I do in my free time is watch YouTube videos about cars. I love cars and I love gaining more knowledge about them, and YouTube is a great source for that. Most of the videos I watch are car reviews and things like that, but I also watch videos that help me gain knowledge about how cars run and function. I also love watching sports, mainly on Sunday when football is on, but the World Series just wrapped up and I watched a few of those games too. My favorite team is Vanderbilt, but because we don't have cable, I can only listen to their games on the radio, which isn't terrible. The analysts are great, but I enjoy watching the games more than listening to them. Basketball is also a sport that I love, and is actually the only sport, other than track, that I've played in an organized league. My favorite team is definitely the Cavs, but I'm more of a LeBron fan than anything, so basically whatever team he's on, that's my favorite team. Speaking of running track, I'm running cross country right now for a local homeschool team that I also play basketball for too, the Tennessee Heat. Since '08, when I first saw Usain Bolt run in the Olympics, I'd always wanted to run track, but I never got the opportunity to until last spring. I really enjoyed running track, and my coaches urged me to run cross country when the fall came around. So I decided to run this fall, and I really enjoyed running cross country. Another thing I like to do in my free time is photography. A couple years ago, I started taking pictures of the outdoors, and I found that I really enjoyed it. So my dad, being the great dad he is, found a photography course on an online curriculum, and I haven't finished it yet, but I've learned a lot about how my camera functions and how to take better pictures. Also, my mom and I were planning a trip through the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I really wanted a better camera than the cheap one that I had. So I did my research, and I finally found a really nice, inexpensive camera, the one that I'm using right now, and I really love this camera from the day that I got it. If I hadn't got it before our trip, I wouldn't have been able to take very good pictures, but because I did, I got some pretty great shots. Speaking of the outdoors, I also really love to hike, and because my uncle's a big hiker, we've been able to go on some pretty great hikes. He lives near Knoxville, so he was able to take me up the Alum Cave Trail in the Smoky Mountains. The trail takes you past the Alum Cave Bluffs, up to the top of the highest peak in Tennessee, Mount LeConte. At a little above 6,000 feet, the view from the top is amazing, and we even saw a peregrine falcon flying around Peregrine Peak. That by far is my favorite hike that I've ever been on, and I went on a lot of hikes this summer, but none of them were as great as that one. And to wrap it all up, I also love to read. Most of the time I read before I go to bed, but sometimes I'll have free time during the day and I'll just sit down and read a good book. Lately, I've really been into the Agatha Christie mystery novels, but I also like reading history, and not just biographies or autobiographies, but also historical fiction. My two all-time favorite books are Todd Comes Home and Aaron's Civil War. Todd Carter was the son of Fount Carter, and he was a captain in the Confederate Army. Fount Carter was the owner of the Carter House in Franklin, Tennessee. The Carter's property is where the Battle of Franklin was fought, and if you don't know anything about the Battle of Franklin, I strongly suggest that you find out more about it, and Todd Comes Home is a great source for that. If you're interested, the author is Nancy Gentry. Aaron's Civil War is another true story that has some added fiction to it. Aaron was just 16 when he decided to enlist in the Union Army with some of his friends. Eventually, though, they got split apart, and some of them even died in combat. And Aaron, the boy who wanted to join the war for glory and the chance of becoming a hero, found out that that really isn't what war is. War is not glory and fame. War is a bloodbath that takes the lives of innocent young men that were just searching for the same thing he was. And I also mentioned that I've been into Agatha Christie novels. My favorite book of hers by far is The Secret Adversary. I mean, the title even sounds like it'd be a good book. It's filled with twists throughout the entire plot and cliffhangers all throughout. But the best part of the book is definitely the last 3 chapters. I still can't get over how genius the ending was in this book and pretty much in all of the other books that I've read. Well, that pretty much wraps up what I like to do in my free time, and I strongly urge you to find out more about the Battle of Franklin if you don't already know anything about it. And Todd Comes Home is a great source for learning more about it, and also just to read a good book.